Hello. Today I'm going to talk about atheism. I'm going to make 3 points about atheism. These are basically the points of atheism, or there's 2 points of atheism, and there's 1 point of an atheist, what an atheist believes. Sometimes they get it confused, what atheism is and what atheists believe. Because, anyway, the first thing is that atheism has nothing to say about what is. Next thing is that atheism fails to prove there are no gods or powers or forces or things like that. Now, what atheists themselves believe is the atheisms don't believe there are powers or gods. It's not complicated, but people make it complicated. It's this, if it's this, supposedly cool thing that if you don't believe in God, then if you really don't believe in God or really want to be cool about not believing in God, you become an atheist. But if you talk to rational scientists like Richard Dawkins, he'll admit he's not an atheist, is that he's an agnostic. He'll admit he doesn't know whether or not there is a God. But he would probably admit there are powers, though. So that would even make him farther from an atheist than he already is. So people, they get all upset when you show an atheist that that atheism has no positive position. When you show them that atheism has no positive position, they get all bent out of shape. And they say, oh, well, it's not supposed to prove anything. Well, what does it prove? It doesn't prove anything. It only claims that there are no powers, no gods. It doesn't prove there's no powers and no gods, but that's what the claim is. And the atheists themselves don't believe there are any powers or any gods. And why am I using the word power as a god? Because that's the way a god is defined. A god is defined as a power, a ruler, a force. Like in the Bible, it's described as a horn. A horn is a power. It's a force. It's it displaces. It's not complicated, but people still, they get all bent out of shape. They get all bent out of shape because, of course, for the one thing, they're losing a point. They can't make a point. The only thing they can do is claim that we have no point or that there are no gods. But they fail at that too, because when you define gods as powers, which is the way they're defined, even Jesus defined us as powers, as gods. So that's what the definition is. We are gods, we are powers, we exist. Atheism is irrelevant. And people have a hard time understanding that atheism is irrelevant. Atheism doesn't have a positive position. It cannot say what is, has nothing to say about what is. It's already useless. And it fails to prove that there is nothing or no powers. Because obviously there are powers. There are gods, there is lightning, there are volcanoes, there are forces. There's, it's not just energy. It's the use of energy, and like us, we're gods. We make use of energy, but we're not just energy. We're more than just energy. We're a force. We're a power. Energy is one thing, power is another. Power could be more than just energy. So atheism is just useless, irrelevant, nonsense. It always was, and people need to understand that atheist is totally irrelevant, useless, and worthless, and not even worth the time that you spend talking about it. I mean, I'm talking not about it, I'm talking about what is. And atheism is not talking about anything relevant. So, all this fuss over atheism, I'm an atheist, and all this stuff, that could have been all non-existent if people understood that atheism has no positive position. Atheism has nothing to offer, nothing to give. It's worthless, it's useless. And then what it claims to prove, it fails. Claims to prove there's no gods when there are gods, and all power comes from God. Because the power that gods have comes from somewhere, right? Doesn't come from nothing. Of course, there's a whole big effort to prove that everything came from nothing. Why would that be? It's because they want to discredit God. They don't want to follow God or listen to God. They don't want to believe that there is a God. So, anyway, that's that. So, yeah. So they get all bent out of shape, and they want to say, well, we just don't believe that there are gods. Yeah, so you don't believe that there's powers? What have we got? Comments? Got a comment. Your voice puts my face to sleep. You speak English? Band of Hawks? Yeah. Anyway. Yep. Sounds good. So, I invited, I don't know, Riley or somebody over to come talk to me, and of course he doesn't want to talk to me. He wanted to kick me out, mute me, put me in timeout and everything, but he didn't want to come talk about it. And got all bent out of shape because I said atheism was useless, worthless, good for nothing, and a waste of time. And because when you show them that atheism doesn't have a positive position and it fails to prove there's no gods, then they say, yeah, but I just don't believe that there is a God. I don't see evidence of God. Hey, man, Hawks, how you doing? I'm astounded at people going around thinking they can tell other religious claims are true based. Band of Hawks, would you like to join? It's easier just to talk than to write out what you're trying to say. Everyone has their own opinions. It really doesn't matter who's going to debate who or what scientists believe. What? The facts, the evidence speak for themselves. I'm on the bus. I don't think I should. Yeah, better not. The idea that some scientists' opinion is more valuable than evidence is ridiculous. On the way home. Have a nice trip, band of hawks. Um, the idea that some scientists' opinion is more valuable than evidence is ridiculous. It's called an appeal to authority fallacy. Right. I agree with that. Everyone has their own opinions. It really doesn't matter who's going to debate who or what scientists believe what. The facts and evidence speak for themselves. Right. Exactly. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm astounded that people are actually going around thinking they can tell others religious claims are true. Yeah, atheism is a religious claim, and evolution is a religious claim. I believe the truth that we were made to exist and that our Maker can remake us. That's absolute truth. It's not a religion. So, okay. But it was great having you here in the live stream. I mean, the chat, band of hawks. Thank you for your input. So yeah, if you get a chance later on, maybe you could join or something. But I might just end the live stream soon because I don't like to talk about nothing. So yeah, by way of review, atheism has no positive position. Atheism fails to prove there are no powers or gods because there are powers and you can't get power from no power. And atheists themselves just don't believe there are powers or gods or God where all power comes from. They think it's a free ride. Everything's just a free ride. Not understanding that everything costs something. And for us, it costs a lot because not only did it cost everything to make us and make all of creation, make the whole universe in order to support time and space, we also transgressed against the Lord and destroyed all of his creation. So not only did we destroy his creation that cost a lot to make, took a lot of power to make, we also destroyed his creation, and that made it necessary for our sin to be on and against God. And because our sin is on and against God, that means that God has to pay for our sin. It's not complicated. It's very simple. It's very simple, very simple. So that God had to send his son to die for us. Of course, he made us with a provision inside of us to cover for us, cover for our sins, pay for our sins. So he paid for our sins himself. God paid for our sins himself. All we have to do is tell the truth and live by the truth and be made born again by the truth. So that's all that's required. That's the whole truth. That's the absolute truth. It's the absolute truth that only your Maker can perfectly cover for you himself and remake you again from the inside out by the power of his true word as no one else can.